a warm welcome to Knox TV Book Club, a time and place to talk about books with me, Becky Cullen. This month we're taking a trip to 20th century Korea and the family saga Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. And joining me in the studio to share their own family sagas, not really, but that would be a good show, are Sarah Wilson from Five Leaf Books, hello. Author of The Way of the Diva, Adam Goodman-Smith, hello. And award-winning poet, founder and editor of Bad Betty Press, Amy Aker. Hello. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Well.
Good. I've got some questions for you. So let's start with Amy. You're far away, but your answer will bring me near. Tell me what's going on at Bad Betty.
So we've got a couple of fantastic pamphlets out in June. That's with our imprint Little Betty. There's Musabani and Other Poems, which is by Francis McKeeby, and then a fabulously titled pamphlet called Young, Dumb and Full of Poems, which is by Hasty.
Fantastic. And where can we get hold of those?
On the Bad Betty website and from selected bookshops.
All good bookshops.
All good bookshops.
All good selected bookshops. Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Welcome to Book Club.
Thank you.
Congratulations on working at such a fabulous bookshop. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, Five Leaves run a set of events, but also courses. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we do over 100 events a year. We're currently midway through a 6-week short story writing course. Mm-hmm. We have 4 regular book clubs. And coming up this month, we've got a session on trans feminist futures. We've got a panel on translation and the art of creative writing. It's really varied. We'll do historical things.
Exciting.
Yeah. It's great. We do a really varied mix of events, and I think it's quite exciting.
It is exciting. There's always something going on at Five Leaves Bookshop. That's what we need to learn from that. Thank you very much, Sarah, and lovely to see you on the show. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
How the devil are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. And tell us a bit about the courses that you've got going on. We can be so educated, can't we, in Nottingham? Tell us about your course.
Oh my gosh, yes. So the first course starts in June, and there's another one in October, and it's called Authentic Empowerment. It's all about building confidence and self-esteem, small groups, just 8 people per cohort, 4 Saturday mornings, and we're looking at redefining confidence, how we can create authentic sort of self-belief rather than forced self-belief. Things like boundaries, things like busting beliefs we have about ourselves. And it's going to be fabulous. And my first guest speaker is the fabulous, have I said fabulous enough?
No, say
okay.
it again.
The fabulous Amy Dowden from Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh, she is fabulous.
She is fabulous, and she's going to be coming to speak to the people on the course and sharing her story.
Oh, let's hope she will be besequined.
I hope so.
And how do we find out about these courses?
So you can look on my social media. So on Instagram, I'm at Adam Goodman-Smith, or you can head over to theselfbeliefcoach.com and all the information is on there.
Thank you very much. And how do we find out about Five Leaves events and courses?
So you can find all of the information and book onto them on the Five Leaves website. So it's just fiveleavesbookshop.com/events.
Fabulous. And how do we find out about Bad Betty?
So our website is badbettypress.com, and we're Bad Betty Press on Instagram, so we post everything that's coming up on there.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, everybody, and welcome to the show. Let's get on with it, shall we? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, good. Our book of the month starts in Busan in Korea in 1910 and finishes in Tokyo in 1989, so we've got a lot of ground to cover. Pachinko is the story of the descendants of Hooni and Yang Jin, who run a boarding house for fishermen in rural Korea. Their teenage daughter Sunja meets a good-looking and well-dressed merchant, Hansu, and becomes pregnant. Discovering Hansu is already married, Sunja accepts an offer of marriage from Christian missionary Isak, who raises her son Noah as his own. The novel follows the stories of Sunja, Isak, Noah, and his brother Mosazu and their families through the Japanese occupation of Korea and the Second World War. Barack Obama says it's a powerful story of resilience and compassion. But what did our panel think? I rang him to get that opinion from him. Yes, so let's start with that then. general views, what did you think? Let's start with you, Adam.
Fascinating. Never read a book like it. Really enjoyed it. I felt like I learned a lot. It was a bit like going through like 80 years of a dysfunctional family WhatsApp group. And I loved that.
Yeah, you like the saga element?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much. Amy?
I mean, it's an absolutely stunning book, but my heart just hurt all the way through. You know, there's so much sacrifice, this kind of constant struggle between, you know, this idea of honour versus survival, and what the women go through, especially, and the way the discrimination on the national scale kind of bleeds into their personal sacrifices. So it's really brutal, but I loved it, and it is a multi-generational saga, but for me it's Sunja's story, and I just felt for her all the way through.
Yeah, so I think it's rooted in that character, isn't it? I was trying to kind of get to the essence of it, because there are so many different family and non-family connections. How did you find it, Sarah?
I'm going to be honest, I struggled a little bit,
Did you?
particularly at the beginning. It took me a while to get into, I think, the writing style and tone. But then once I was into it, I think I totally agree with you. Sunja is kind of the heart of this book, and just watching the way that sort of patriarchy hurts everyone, capitalism, and the multi-generational trauma and impact, I found incredibly compelling and heartbreaking.
I think that's very interesting, the way that as you say, that combines with prejudice. It becomes a kind of triad of negative influence, if you like, of ways that the odds are stacked against somebody, perhaps. What about then the central... It's really interesting that you mentioned the tone of the book, because I think a lot of that comes from Sunja. It seems to me to be a very calm, kind of solid kind of book. It's a lot slower than some of the things that I've read. So Adam, you came in to read Penance, and I'm sorry about that. But in comparison, how did you find the writing style of this book?
You're right, I did find it slower. And I did struggle a bit with the fact that all of the characters were almost given their own chapters. Like there was so much detail and backstory to everybody. And I found it a little bit difficult going through, because I felt like I was sort of almost forgetting the people at the start. And I thought I was sort of leaving them behind, but I want to go back and find out more about them. I want to find out how they've got on. 1 minute they're making kimchi, the next minute 10 years has gone. You know, and I'm trying to keep up.
Yes, no, I think you're right. There's very many different intergenerational connections, and people keep coming back and then disappearing. I think that's one of the themes in this book. So Noah, the son, disappears and then is reconnected with. We see, I've just got to check the name, Mosazu's friend Haruki disappears in the narrative and then comes back again in quite a major way. And I wonder if that's something to do with the kind of the yearning for home, or that feeling throughout the novel that there's this sense of leaving something and coming back to it. Did anybody else pick up on that? What do you think, Amy or Sarah?
Yeah, I think some of the most sad and moving moments in the book for me were the separation between parent and child, which you have early on when Sunja goes off to Osaka with Isak. And of course that pattern is kind of repeated, and people's parents are lost or presumed dead or reunited, and that happens again and again. And I think there's also a real kind of stoicness to it, where it seems like that's just kind of what happens and what all the characters have been led to expect, so they kind of take it on the chin while they're kind of nursing these huge kind of broken hearts.
Yeah. There is a really clear sense of survival, I think. Coming through here, linking to what you were saying, Sarah, about poverty, and so much of this novel to do with food. I don't know if I found myself quite hungry on occasions. Did you notice the food throughout?
I did, and I think so when we see from the first marriage this idea of it's important to have white rice as this kind of moment of celebration and treat, and the ways in which the women are praised for their ingenuity in being able to make delicious food from so little. And then right towards the end we get the comparison with Phoebe, who's been raised in America and doesn't know how to cook, and doesn't know Korean dishes, and says, oh, my mum doesn't cook, we ate cheeseburgers. And the shock of Sunja and Yanjin, and because food has been so integral to all of their labour, both for their family and also how they earn money, but making sweets, making pickles at different times of year, and then also trying to find ingredients during the war, and how little they had to go on, and then also there's a scene with Noah and eating fancy sushi, and he's just like, this is
what
performative.
Is this?
I'd much rather have a hearty bowl of broth, which we were talking about beforehand.
Wouldn't we all have a hearty bowl of broth at any time? Yeah, fantastic. I think in the second half, let's carry on with that and talk about Hansu in particular. Love him or hate him. There's that discussion to have. And the way that there are very many taboos of that kind, I think, in this book. The way that disabled people are represented, the way there's a gay character, lots of intergenerational issues to talk about. Be fantastic. Okay, so that is definitely all for part one. We'll be back after the break for some recommendations from the panel, more book chat and a catch up with Jaden Morton. Hello again and welcome back to Knott's TV Book Club, a time and place to talk about books with me, Becky Cullen. This month we're talking about Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and we're in the studio with Sarah Wilson from Five Leaves Bookshop, Adam Goodman-Smith, writer of The Way of the Diva, and Amy Aker, founder and editor at Bad Betty Press and fabulous poet. So, lovely team, here we are back again. Let's have a chat about books that you could recommend around families. Let's start with Sarah.
Sure. I recently read The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois by Honoré Fanon Jeffers, and that's also multi-generational but fantastic, stunning writing, lots of family dynamics, and lots of kind of racial tensions, interactions, history throughout America.
So is it fiction or non-fiction?
Yes, fiction. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. That sounds very interesting. Hello, Adam.
Mine's a bit of a wild card because you know I like a celebrity book.
Yes.
So it is a book, it's a coffee table book, and it's called Best Wishes, Warmest Regards, and it's all about the television show Schitt's Creek.
Love Schitt's Creek.
So this, like, disgustingly rich family who actually you don't like very much at all, who lose everything overnight, have to go and live in a town they bought as a joke, and it's their story of, I guess, becoming human again and loving each other.
I love them. I love it when Alexis goes, ooh, David. David! Ooh, David! Anyway, we could carry on doing that for quite some time. Amy, thank you, Adam. How about you?
So I thought I would pick a saga. It's quite rare that I read a saga, but one that I did love in recent years was The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I'm sure lots of your viewers will know it. Did very well, about two sisters in a fictional town in the States, and their experience of colorism and passing, and one of them kind of they grow up with a lot of trauma, and then they kind of split ways, and one of them kind of goes through life passing as a white woman, and then it's about their journeys and their stories, their children as well.
Yeah, really interesting. It's a really heartbreaking book, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've chosen some crackers. That's great. But we've got Schitt's Creek as well to cheer us up. That's marvellous. Simply the best. Picking up, thank you very much, picking up on the idea of families being disconnected and passing and not passing. One of the themes in this book is the way that Noah, Sunja's son, finds out that Hansu is his father and goes off to Japan different part of Japan and passes as Japanese. And his family don't know anything about that. And I thought this dynamic between being Korean and being Japanese was something that I haven't read about before and was really interesting. What did you think, Adam?
I think the thing that I was left by it was this idea of the odds being stacked against people and them just doing what they needed to do to survive. And I sort of thought I really liked the metaphor between the Pachinko game and the game being rigged and what was happening in their lives, and the fact that they're sort of overcoming all of that awfulness and surviving despite the whole systemic racism and all the odds being stacked against them. So I really liked that sort of parallel process.
I thought the actual game of Pachinko starts to feature more and more. And when I was discussing that with students, they were saying, well, what is the connection? Pachinko doesn't really figure that much. And then we worked around to the idea that it's this game where you can tweak the mechanism slightly, but if you're going to win big sometimes, but ultimately you're going to keep coming back for more.
The house always wins.
Yeah, the house always wins. So what did you make of that, Amy? Do you think it's a realistic portrayal? Because some of them do win in life. You know, they go to university, they have successful businesses. So is it being undercut, really?
I think all the characters sacrifice a lot in their kind of in their relationship with themselves, really, and even Noah. And, you know, some characters have some kind of degree of success, but then they're kind of hiding who they are the whole time, and that's how they manage to do it. And one of the lines that struck me really, I think it's quite early on in the book, I think it's when Sunja and Isak go to see the priest before they get married, and he's talking about this, you know, the Japanese thinking that the Koreans are dirty or unmoral, and this idea that we have to prove them wrong, and this extra pressure of we can't prove them right, therefore we have to be honourable at all times, therefore we have to sacrifice anything that is your own kind of feelings or desire or wishes for yourself, just has to be buried underneath kind of performing goodness to prove your humanity.
Yeah, I really picked up the number of times that dirt was mentioned, like the way that there was dirt under people's fingernails or in their cuticles, or in that awful scene where Mosazu's son goes and gets his identity card and he has ink left on his finger from having to prove that he's, you know, not Japanese. And Noah says, having Yakuza in your blood is something that controls you. I can never be clean of him. Talking about Hansu, this kind of overlord in the book who's manipulating everyone in a bit of a way. What do you make of that kind of idea of not being free of your past or your upbringing, Sarah?
I think that it's incredibly tragic, and I think Noah in particular, my heart really hurt over, because there's a point where when he's with his first girlfriend and he feels like she won't ever see him as anything other than a Korean, not himself, and he just wants to be himself. But I also think that he then makes a choice to hide the blood truth from his own family and children, and then rather than having that potentially revealed, he takes his own life. So if he did believe that blood couldn't be denied, that wouldn't have made a difference. It's about the knowledge of lineage and the way that it impacts.
So it's the way you think about it rather than the actual fact of it. That's really interesting. I think let's sum it up then. So why should people read this book? Amy, tell us why. Or not.
You know, if you're feeling a bit too happy and you and you need to kind of drop back down to earth. Now, I mean, it's a beautiful book. I learned a lot about the history of Korea and about that dynamics that I knew very little about.
Thank you very much. Adam, very briefly.
I think if you want to immerse yourself in that culture, then it's a really, really fantastic book. And also, it's almost impossible not to make parallels to what's going on now.
Yes. Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, it's incredibly well researched. She conducted lots of interviews. This comes from a place of being really informed. And I think you're absolutely right. Understanding prejudice, racism, xenophobia, and it's so important.
And the way it's internalised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So much that we didn't talk about that people can pick up. The odds of time, like the game of Pachinko, are stacked against us. But we hope that gives you a flavour of this intriguing novel. You can pick up a copy of Pachinko at 5 Leaves or our wonderful libraries. Other bookshops are available. Thanks, panel. I don't know about you, but I think I'd love to hear what Jaden Morton has to say. Hello, Jaden. Are you with us?
Hello.
Hello, Jaden
Hi, Bella.
Morton. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good, good. So, you've got some fantastic recommendations for us this month with almost names that are possible to say, almost.
Yeah.
So, let's start off then with Ocean Vuong, The Emperor.
Yeah, so The Emperor of Gladness is a book about care and chosen family by Ocean Vuong, an author who I brought up on this show almost every time they brought out a book because I love the way they write. They started with poetry and then moved into novels, and this is their latest novel, which, to be transparent, I've not read yet. Because you'll see with my next recommendation, it's been going through the International Booker shortlist. So haven't got around to this, but I'm so excited about it. I just wanted to come on and rave about it.
It's worth flagging up. We all want to read it. So yeah, that's fantastic. So tell us then about Heart Lamp, Jaden.
So Heart Lamp by Banu Mushtaq is a book. It's a short story collection that was the first of the stories were published in the 90s and the last of them coming out in 2003. So this was spanned over 13 years. It's a short story collection about what it means to be a Muslim woman in southern India. And the characters are eclectic and their interior worlds are so raw, which I've not finished this one either because I'm still reading, but what I've read so far has been amazing.
Exciting to be far through. And finally, very briefly, Perfection.
Yes, by Vincenzo Latronico.
Let's do it with confidence.
So I finished this one a couple of days ago and haven't really been able to stop thinking about it.
Great.
What is really kind of new to me about this book is that the author writes with the characters in the background and their setting in the foreground. So
wow, that sounds really interesting. And I'm sorry, but we're going to have to explore that one ourselves and find you in person and ask you all about it. But thank you very much, Jaden. Thank you, and it's lovely to see you. Take care. Big kiss. Bye. Bye. Big kiss? What am I doing? Thanks, Jaden. You can find out more at knotstvbookclub.com. You can catch up on demand at knotstv.com. You can also catch up on YouTube. Next month, it's the final show of the season. Yes, and now the end is near. Joining me in the studio to face the final curtain are Billy Ivory, Hannah Trevarthen and Jaden. See you then.